Well, welcome to Black Men Speak, a podcast that highlights ordinary Black men doing extraordinary things. I am your host, Keith Dent. Today's conversation is about it's very filled with tension. It's about growing up in environments that shape you before you even understand what's happening. It's about carrying trauma you didn't ask for, and then making a decision at some point in your life that it stops with you. But let's be real, breaking cycles isn't a slogan. It's a fight. It's a daily internal negotiation between who you were shaped to be and who you're trying to become. And for a lot of men, especially Black men, the fight often happens in silence. And for this author, it did, until he chose to write about it. His name is Michael Thomas. He's an American author and storyteller, best known for the memoir, The Broken King, which came out last year. It's a deeply personal exploration of childhood trauma, racism, and the journey toward healing and fatherhood. Raised in Boston during a turbulent era, Thomas draws on his lived experience to examine lasting impact of generational pain and the difficult work of breaking those cycles. Through his writing, he offers an unfiltered look at masculinity, resilience, and what it means to redefine legacy. His voice resonates with readers seeking honesty, accountability, and hope in the face of adversity. This episode, we're going to dig into the weight of his silence, the complexity of fatherhood, the pressure of rewriting his story while still healing from it, and what actually looks like to lead, love, and show up when you didn't always have that modeled for you. This isn't a conversation about perfection. It's a conversation about honesty, about scars, about responsibility, and ultimately about redemption. So we're going to get into it with Michael. His book, by the way, was wonderful, and I'm really excited to talk about it. I just finished it, and I'm going to try to keep it under an hour because, there's so many questions, but hopefully we'll have a great conversation. So, Michael, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Keith.
Oh, thank you. So let's just start. The name of the book is called The Broken King. And I don't think I mentioned that in the beginning, so I apologize. But what moment of realization made you decide that you wanted to tell this story? And it's your story, your personal story. So what made you decide you wanted to tell it or needed to tell it?
It wasn't until after I started writing, after I started writing. I started, I guess, cynically. I'd written a novel, written some teleplays, a lot of poems and songs. And I remember talking to my editor about the practicality of writing another novel and talking to my agent and other people. And memoirs were hot. So I just said, I'll write a memoir. Really almost glibly started something I didn't know was going to take me where it took me. I'd written an essay about baseball, about taking my oldest, Alex, to the Who's Your Daddy game at Yankee Stadium.
Oh, wow. Okay.
The Red Sox, and dressed up in Red Sox garb. And so originally that was going to be one of the chapters, but I decided against it because I had some strange notions of commercial success. For serial rights. And I can dig deep grooves into my mind. So I got stuck on these things, fixated, and I forgot why I did it. But really, for the first years, I had to write it because I made a commitment to write it to my publisher, to my editor, my agent, to my family. And so I felt this pressure to do something. But I guess it's naive or maybe obtuse. I never wanted to tell a story. I wanted it to do something. And I guess the
Mm.
thing I wanted it to do, and I used to show people what I wanted to do when they ask how it was going. There's a performance, Al Green does a live performance of A Change is Gonna Come. And he's down on his knees. And I say, I wanted to do that, regardless
Okay.
of the story I'm telling. I want somebody to feel the way I feel when I see that, when I hear that. So that was the motivation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I want to just go ahead and get into this because you really made people, well, I wouldn't say people, you made me feel very, deeply in the very first chapter. And I'm just going to go right to the end.
Okay.
You said, the estate bequeathed, and you were talking about your oldest son. So the estate bequeathed to Alex is a troubled one. His father is a troubled man. And I often feel that because I have not completely freed myself from what my father left me, I will always endanger my son. I feel I cannot help Alex. I cannot protect him from us.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that's really heavy. What made you feel that he couldn't be protected? Not only from you, and you said from us. So like who were the us?
The us, my father, his father, my brother, people I didn't know, the they out there. And so basing a relationship with my son on trauma I've inherited and things I've done, because I'm no saint, and I certainly wasn't growing up, regardless of what happened to me. I didn't think I had anything to give him, anything substantive other than, how to recognize the lynch mob, really, how to avoid pain, or how to really live with pain, assuming that he would have it. So everything was reactionary. Baldwin talks about, or the narrator in Sonny's Blues, letting somebody know that, and I'm paraphrasing, too much about what's happened to you, when they're going to know too much too soon about what's going to happen to them. And so being caught in that space of, what can I tell my son? What can I give him? I know it's out there, and I know it's in me. And I didn't feel up to it. I didn't think I could be affectionate. I didn't think I could be nurturing. I didn't think I could be any of these things. Not in that kind of stereotypical, I'm a man, therefore I shouldn't show affection. It's, I'm me, and I don't know how. And so what can I do for him? I can teach him how to fight. I can teach him how to be strong, stoic, logical, distant, and discerning. The life of the mind and the life of the body, but the body as almost resistance or a bulwark to the darkness out there.
Right. And that was throughout the book. And so were there any of those traits that you did see in him, as he was growing up, and you really, in essence, felt powerless to make, I guess, any changes or any suggestions or any advice that you would give him to kind of, I guess, change that path?
Yeah, sure. Weakness, fear, losing his composure. And I'm saying this italicized or in quotes, because these are ridiculous claims. But fearing that, it's my fear that he wouldn't be able to function or be brilliant or maintain this kind of equipoise and excellence at all times in all environments. Just not letting him be a kid. Just even from his affect in public. And I think a lot of it was a lot of my mistakes was imagining myself as a small boy and projecting a grown man's consciousness onto the small boy and not remembering what I was like. There's revisionist history that I was always upright and stoic and strong and almost unfeeling and just a man, a mannish boy, which obviously wasn't the case.
Yes.
But also how to defend himself against white people. Half of his family's white.
Right. And that's a very interesting, because in the book you revisit very difficult parts of your childhood. The racism, trauma, complicated family dynamics. So what was the process of really, I guess, deciding what you felt needed to be told in the book?
Oh, well, each chapter I had already written the last line and sometimes the first. And so mechanically it was earning that image, earning the moment. So I knew his chapter was always going to be about him scoring a goal in this state championship game when he was 11. And I plot things out pretty meticulously, but between point A and point B, I'm not sure where I'll go. I included a lot more of the more brutal aspects, the abuse that I suffered as a kid after my mother passed. I included a lot after my mother passed.
Yeah, you did.
Because I didn't want her to read it. I didn't want her to hear about it. I didn't want her for any minute to think that she had failed to protect me. And then, I started this book in 2008, and my kids grew, and they grew older, and I changed quite a bit. I realized what I was doing, and perhaps I should have said this in the beginning. I hid behind proxy, other texts, songs, metaphor, philosophy.
Okay.
And I really changed to exposition. Just, this is what happened. Trusting myself, trusting the reader, trusting that my son, who just turned 30 last month.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Was smart enough, strong enough, tough enough, gracious enough, really, is what he became, to read it and know that this was in the world. But I think I really try to protect myself while writing a memoir, which is really an absurd pursuit, really an exercise of bad faith. So the things, getting back to your question, the things that I included, they were always going to be there. It was just how was I going to depict them?
Well, I'm glad, and I know I unfortunately didn't get to do the research on their age, because I thought it was relatively current. But you're saying your son is 30 now, and so what are the ages of the kids in there currently?
Alex is 30. Miles, my second, is 27. Oh, he'll be 27 tomorrow.
Okay.
My daughter's 25, and then I have an 8-year-old. 8.5-year-old.
Okay. And so I was going to wait to the end, because I was going to ask. So after they read the book, and I guess it's safe to say they didn't know a lot of your past. And so what was, they did, that would be great. But what was their overall feeling once they, read the book and knew your story, and then ultimately all the pain that you went through?
Well, Alex is the only one I think who's read it.
Oh, okay.
When I sent him the galley and I wrote him a letter, he lives in Washington State, and I said, this is really brutal and dark, and you don't have to read it, obviously. but here it is. And I think he got it on a Saturday, and he called me on a Tuesday. And he said he'd finished it. And I said, well, that was quick. And he said, well, it's a light read. It's a quick read. But he said he understood why I thought it was dark, but he didn't think so. He thought it was full of hope, and that was essential for men, especially brown men, to read, and that he was proud of me. So for having done it.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's and I did think it is important for men to read, because you just, for the most part, you don't get a true feeling of what some brown men can go through on an everyday basis. Mm-hmm. And it's not I'm sure from the outside looking in, people say, well, you have a perfect life. You have a wife that loves you. You have kids, 3 beautiful kids. I'm sure, very intelligent or athletic or whatever. They were living in their own excitement. What would there to be, I guess, depressed about? Mm-hmm. And did you get that from people, from maybe your friends, or who knew you best?
Well, my close friends, no, not at all. My closest 2 friends, 3 friends, they saw my life up close. One I've known since I was 12. The other since young adulthood. And it wasn't easy, at 3 young kids. I was relatively young, and we were, always behind on the mortgage or bills or whatever. And I had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. So unmedicated, not in therapy, just kind of hanging on and raging through things, but also being in a largely affluent white community in Brooklyn, private school, struggling to keep the kids in private school. And what America was at the time, in the alleged post-racial America, because Obama had been elected. I started this when, 2008.
Right.
And sobriety. I just celebrated my 31st anniversary yesterday.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. There was so much going on, but my close friends were there, and they saw it, and they knew it. And it wasn't all brutal. We laughed, we danced, we played music, we, played soccer, we played golf, we watched movies, we did things, we got each other's backs. But to the outside world, it was really just, or to people one removed, in a social circle or a neighborhood, it was really the same as being a kid and having narratives constructed for me that I had nothing to do with. Mm-hmm. It was the same as elementary, high school, college, young adulthood. Some people thought because I was articulate that my father was white, or that I grew up wealthy because I sounded like this. And so, but Alex wasn't really black because of the way he sounded, but his dad was the scariest black dude anyone had ever met. So there's just so much noise out there. Just let it be out there.
Okay. Yeah. I got it. I get it. Yeah. I get it. So since a lot of the book, you did talk about what it meant, to be a father and a dad, and not trying to repeat the past, what would you say, for people that have not read the book yet? What were some of your biggest internal battles you faced that while trying to break those generational patterns that were there?
Well, writing it, like just being a fraud, first of all. Younger, using, like being an active alcoholic, being enraged almost all the time, or any kind of grace or gratitude or humility I displayed was false or performative. So that kind of fallibilism or self-doubt constantly, and having learning from the books I read, from the music I listened to, from the people I was around, and the kind of neoclassical education I received in fallibilism or some kind of Hegelian synthesis.
Yeah.
Never being able to be still, or Du Boisian two-ness, or a double consciousness, like which one is me, and never feeling like I had a synthesized core or an identity or anything concrete. One of the things I did discover, and I should have answered this before, was, and I write about it in a chapter about Miles, is about autism. Oh, that's what it was, neurodivergence. And the book is, and I say this with love and affection, as somebody said, obviously written by an autistic person. So, did I have a feeling? Do I remember having a feeling? Not really reacting to different environments or phenomena or experiences the way other people do. And so, was it because of race? Was it because of class? Was it because of personal history? Or is that just the way that I come out functioning like that?
Mm-hmm.
And over the years, watching Miles get older, we are wired the same way. And my youngest, it's the way we walk through the world, and have always walked through the world. If that answers your question.
Right, because based on, I guess, you didn't find that out until much later.
Yeah, I was 40, but even then, I didn't quite trust it. Like,
oh, really?
Sure. Well, when I was 40 and Miles was about 8, the term was non-specific cognitive disorder. Like, so, here are some colored folders to keep your homework organized.
Oh, wow.
And then later, neurodivergence, and now everything's just autism level 1 is, been diagnosed with. So, yeah, but, what are maladaptive coping mechanisms? What are actually healthy coping mechanisms? That's what in editing and looking back and even being in public and reading, I can see it. It's just say,
right,
wow, like who is this dude? Where was he when he wrote this? Or why didn't I have this feeling? Or why did I have this feeling?
Mm-hmm.
Why a cop doing this? Did I have? Why did I have a reaction like, to that? What would be traumatic incident for other people, and my mother opening a can of tuna fish and me losing a week in like sorrow and horror because of the way it smells and looks.
Okay.
It's kind of seemingly disproportionate reactions to certain things. Also, what people perceive as being a mood disorder is really just being affected by an environment that is almost impenetrable and alienating. But that's not a mood disorder. That is just being lonely, I think.
Oh,
so I discovered a lot of negotiating.
Yes. And I mean, and you had a very wonderful relationship with your mom. And so, and since we're talking about that, and she was not able to see any of that, or did she, you'll hear, you hear parents say that's just Michael being Michael, or, and so was that what it was for most of the time, or would it?
It really depended on how much stress she was under, the time of day, how scared she was of, the lights being off, or, if we had a car, was it broken, or what being like this would do to me. Like, would I be safe in the world? but yeah, sometimes it's like, I think the nicest thing anyone said, and she and her aunts and her sisters would say, "Oh, Michael's dreamy." That was a nice thing.
Right.
Something else, or the cutting question back then, now I laugh at it, is, "What's the matter with you?" Or "Why can't you?" And I just couldn't explain back then. But considering where she was, what she had to live with and endure herself, she was a remarkable, because I tried her.
I'm sure. Okay. Well, I mean, and as kids, all kids do, but I'm sure
you're running out to catch the bus, and you're supposed to be ready, and then she turns back, and I'm like walking out with one shoe in my underwear.
Yeah, I found that out. Awesome. That was
what's the matter?
Awesome.
What's wrong with you? We can't miss the bus. And I'm just like staring into space. But also just being a baffling human being. Like, why can you do this, but you can't do that? Like, why can you recite these poems and you're a little boy, but you can't remember that you were walking into the bathroom and you're just standing in the hall, like staring at the ceiling.
Yeah.
So it just seemed strange and alien to her often. And I think that really frightened her.
Yeah.
Like, I can't help my son.
Yeah. I mean, and so that's interesting, because you almost felt the same way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
that you couldn't help your son. And so when it comes to parenting, especially for Black men, what do you feel we should talk more about?
I think there are age appropriate things, from the books our kids read, to the movies and the music we listen to our reactions in public and private spaces, modeling first. How to be peaceful. What does it look like to be peaceful or serene? And the difference between serenity and repression, like biting down on emotion, about taking their time. And then just what they're thinking. I think just doing more listening. What are you thinking about? Tell me a story. How was your day? Not correcting them, not believing, or just letting them speak. Letting them speak and feel safe and uninhibited without editing. Getting them to trust their imaginations, their critical practices, their narrative skills. Because if they can't feel safe and heard with us, then what are they going to do away from us?
Right.
I think just listening, and I think instruction, teaching them skills, and understanding what the difference is between being disciplined and shaming a kid. And I still struggle with that. Like, you should know this. Why can't you do this? And if you can't do this, then there is horror waiting for you somewhere down the line, right? And some kind of militaristic practice. I think reading to your kid, I think rather than, if they're going to watch a movie or a show, sitting there with them and talking about it, so they're not passive, so they're going to it and trying to make sense of it. Talking about your day and your life, cracking jokes, and not making them grow up too soon. Not preparing them for battle.
Battle. Wow. Yeah. For battle. Because you felt like you were in a battle, like, every day.
Always. Yeah. Every day.
So now that they're older, have you, well, let's just do an assessment. How have the kids turned out? Has it been better than what you thought in the book, or about the same?
Oh,
Give me
yeah.
some nuggets here. Now that I know they're older, I'm so fascinated,
Well,
because you really
I don't want to reveal too much about their private lives. They're doing great.
not private lives, but just overall of who they are as people.
They're good people doing well and doing well in the world. If you asked the three of them, they'd have different assessments.
Okay.
Um,
and that could just be because just the state of they are in their lives too.
Yeah.
It has really nothing to do with, 27, 30, they're really almost the way things are characterized now in their life. They're not even, there's so many outside things that are keeping them from being the adults that they probably want to be.
Yeah, they're good people trying to be good people in the world.
Right.
They're trying to contribute. They teach. My daughter is an artist, wonderful musician. Miles, my second son, is a kindergarten teacher, and that's what he wants to do. He's a gentle giant. He turned out to be about 6'4".
Oh, wow. Okay.
And Alex is a social worker.
That's nice. That's awesome.
He's grave. He's serious. They're good adults and talented, and in spite of me.
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I know you may say that, but I guess God has a way of taking the good parts of you and sprinkling them in your kids.
Mm-hmm. I'd say right now, because of geographically and really just how we are, Miles and I wouldn't say are emotionally closer, but just practically we are closer. My second.
Yeah. So one of the things I loved is, because I'm a baseball fan as well. I'm a Yankee fan though.
This conversation is over.
But what I found fascinating was the fear that you felt going to the Red Sox games, because you were a Red Sox fan, but you were a person of color Red Sox fan.
Mm-hmm.
So my question was, because in one of the chapters, you could feel the sense of, I guess, dread or nervousness just going to the game, and you were much older, going with friends, and you almost felt alone when you were there. Or I'm not sure how many, one of thousands that are at this game. When did it change? When did that change for you? And have you been back, or does it feel different now that you are different?
Yeah, well, like going with my father when I was younger, I think I write about this. He had this breezy way of negotiating Boston. It's almost undisturbed by race. It's such a strange way. It was his city. He was Dave. Hey, Dave. Hey, Dave. He didn't seem unsettled by it. And my dad, looking back, he certainly was neurodivergent. He was just in a different space most of the time. And he wasn't an angry person, and he didn't seem to make people angry. I'm still not sure how he did it. When I got older and moved, instead of being in the box or grandstands and moving out to the bleachers, it's a different kind of experience out there. And also being the only Black person out there often, unless I was with my uncle and my cousins, and having his stewardship and protection. Yeah, I felt alone for a couple of reasons. One, I had an encyclopedic understanding of baseball,
Right.
and so I really felt like a fan. I felt I lived and died with every at bat, especially if Yaz was up or Jim Rice. I almost couldn't bear a pop out. I couldn't look. But yeah, later as a teen, I guess the term is being gaslit. It was frightening there. It was terrifying in Fenway Park. It was worse walking around the perimeter of Fenway, either going to the game or leaving the game, especially leaving the game.
And even with paraphernalia on, it did not preclude you from.
Oh no, no one saw me as a Red Sox fan. People saw me as a, I won't say the word, but certainly as a focal point of their aggression, their rage, their hatred, their bigotry, their drunkenness.
Right.
And things, I think the last time I went to Fenway for a long time, I was 19. I went when I was a little older. Maybe when I was 24, I went to one game. But I didn't go again until I think Alex was 5. So I was 33. And I took my dad and my brother. And Alex had his Nomar Garcia Parra shirt.
Oh, okay.
That was his first shirt, and he was just heartbroken. When they traded him.
They traded him, yeah.
Yeah. So was I. But walking around, I remember Alex looking and seeing like the only brown and black people, what they were doing, who they were, and they weren't fans. We seemed to be the only fans there. I remember him talking about that some years later. Later, when I was an adult, and like I put on 40 pounds of muscle mass lifting, and I was 5'9", 140 when I was 18.
Yeah.
So going at 6'1", 200 pounds was a very different thing. And just being unafraid to show anger and resistance and just staring back at people. But also, largely those people are cowards too. So if you just look back at them, or they look away. So I had a very different relationship with the park and with people. But also Fenway changed. Now going there, I'm not even sure what it is. People are dancing to music. There's no more John Kiley. There's
winning cures all ills.
Oh, I think. Well, you went to the old Yankee Stadium, right?
Oh yeah,
and the new Yankee Stadium is corporate. It's sanitized, and it's too expensive to go to a game. Pretty much. The tickets I got over the years, like in the early 2000s, were all from buddies or family members who worked for banks or hospitals. They were corporate tickets.
Oh yeah, I guess that's true. That's true. But I do think winning does help. Helps out a lot. At that time, you hadn't won yet, so
you're really gonna keep pushing that, right?
No. Hey, no. I really do think it's a matter of. There's a different energy, I think, when you have won and where there's no secret that at the time that the curse and all that. I think there was that kind of energy that kind of hung over. And after winning, I think they won after winning 3 World Series, and now being seen as a winner. Of course, the type of players they had, Big Papi, and it changed the dynamic of the type of team, Boston.
Yeah, sure. But also the park changed. When I was a kid, or even a young man, going to Yankee Stadium with Red Sox gear on was when I brought my son to the center field bleachers for the Who's Your Daddy game. We walked into the center field bleachers. The crowd went silent.
Oh, really?
As we walked up, I had a homemade Ted Williams shirt on. My son Alex had long kind of auburn hair, and he was wearing a Johnny Damon t-shirt.
Okay.
When Damon still played for us. And we started to walk up into our seats, and out of the silence, somebody yelled, "That's child abuse." But I had my hair down, like down to my
Wow. Yeah.
knees, ankles, and people were just looking like at me, like what is going on here? But you couldn't go to Fenway with a Yankee hat on in 1990.
Absolutely not.
You can go now. You can wear any hat you want.
Yeah. Well, that has changed, but you were quite brave. You were quite brave. I will give you that.
That's kind.
I will give you that.
Say brave. I think someone might say reckless.
Yeah. So I guess in all serious, and back to, the book, the Broken King, because one of the things that it really kind of grabbed me, because what I try to do is at the end of the year, of course, I look at the book lists, NPR and the New York Times, just to see some of the great books, especially by African-American authors that are on there. And the Broken King, it really, it struck me, because it's like, because it is a kind of a play on words. I'm like, usually you don't think of kings as being broken. So it's a very powerful, and it's really kind of grabbed me. So what did the Broken King, really mean to you, that you felt that you needed to title that as the name of your book? And how did you turn your brokenness into a strength?
Well, it's from T.S. Eliot line, Little Gidding from Four Quartets. If you came at night like a broken king, if you came by day not knowing what you came for, it would be the same. But it's a long line of kings, who you could argue were broken. Solomon, David, Oedipus, Jesus. And I don't mean flawed as a pejorative. They're humans. They're people. And I think like athletes, often entertainers, artists, kings, we deify them. And so we look at their strengths as being every part of who they are, rather than being humans who are afraid, make mistakes, have desire. And I think we need to look at that we are fallible, right? But we have doubt. And so what do you do in the time of doubt? What do you do when you're in the desert, right? What is the word in the desert? What are you when you are confronted with what seem to be your own failing? So for me, it's a question of what is it to be broken? So if there is any kind of play on the word broken, it doesn't mean that one can't be mended. It doesn't mean that one can't be mended in like perpetuity, right? Being sober for 31 years, if I broke a lot, and I broke a lot of things in my drinking years, to say that it's an act of futility to get sober based on the things that I did and that were done to me is really just capitulating to some kind of tragic end. So, I think I read about that. Like, grace is everywhere, right? It's not some exception. It's there if you just say yes. And it doesn't mean you'll be restored to your former glory. It doesn't mean that everything will be good. It's just, again, Eliot writes, right action is freedom, also from past and future, right?
Right.
So if you came at night like a broken king, like, what would you do? Like, if you know you've caused people hurt and hurt has been done to you, I'm not discounting that, but then what do you do? What do you do next?
Right.
How do you treat people? How do you treat yourself? What do you show your kids if you feel you failed them? I mean, my dad ran. he didn't want to face the hurt he caused to his kid.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying I'm a hero, but I am at least willing to, on most days, face the hurt I've done to my kids, whether they're willing to accept it.
Right.
And it's not all hurt, obviously. You admit you're wrong, you try to make amends.
Yeah.
Whether or not people forgive you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that was
sorry, right?
And you could just tell throughout that you stood in it. I mean, you might have been, as you wrote, underneath the stairs, but you were there.
Yeah. So, yes, you might apologize, or you might try to make amends. It doesn't mean your apology will be accepted.
Right.
And everything's fine now. And then you can go back to whatever it was.
Yeah. So I wanted to know, of course, you went around and you talked about a lot. You did several readings of the book. Have appeared in, I guess, I'm sure, all over promoting the book. But I wanted to know, was there any men of color that actually came up to you and talked about either your story or anything like that, or what they took from it that you can remember? And if so, what was the feeling that you had really touched someone like that?
No, really, just what's happened over these last months, especially last year when the galleys went out, the advanced reading copies went out, is I've been reconnected with Black men.
And just for my knowledge, galleys, what are those?
Oh, advanced reading copies.
Oh, I see. Okay,
goes out. They go out to reviewers or people who blurb things.
Okay, gotcha.
So I've been really thinking about what it's like to survive with something intact. And so reconnecting with those who have survived with something intact, because I'm not sure how old you are, but being of a generation, a lot of us went to all white schools or predominantly white schools, and were separated, kind of these, the tribe was broken. And lost a lot of people for many reasons, to a lot of places, but late middle-aged coming back. And so I have friends and colleagues, Black men who have institutional power, artistic institutional power, cultural, they're deans, they're presidents of colleges, they're full professors, they've won awards. And so what the book has allowed me is to reconnect with many of these friends, these colleagues.
Oh, nice.
But at readings, no, it's strange. It's as though there have been so many gatekeepers in publishing, certainly in my lifetime.
Oh, okay.
What is a Black narrative? What does it look like? What does it sound like? And this is pre-Black imprints. Quotas on the store shelves. Right?
Oh, wow. Okay.
And discouraging a lot of narratives. So I think a lot of men my age, I don't see many. In some festivals, depending on where they are, they're usually older than me.
Okay.
But usually where I get them is in the class, in my classes, or in the hallways at school, or colleagues or emails.
Well, I mean, and that's kind of one of the reasons why I started to interview Black male authors, because it seemed like there was on the book, with the book review, and I'm not going to name any, but on the book review, you don't really see a lot of Black male authors. So I was like, I like to read. And so I was like, I'll interview the books that kind of resonate, or not, interview the authors where the books resonate with me. And this was one of them. So, but I find it interesting. I mean, I have kind of seen that as well. I just, when you go to the book readings, you don't really see a lot of Black men there. And I know it can be quite discouraging.
Unless they're my friends or family, friends of friends, then they come. Like in New York, they're Black men, but I know most of them, or they're colleagues, and so they show up or they bring friends. But Usually, no. It's not the book buying public.
Yeah.
And I think it's also agency, the spaces in which you want to go.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, has the book changed your memories of the past?
Yes.
In what way?
Well, Baldwin writes, the past will remain horrible for exactly as long as we refuse to assess it honestly. I think I'm quoting that correctly.
Okay.
So the past is no longer horrible. It's difficult, but it's not horrible. It doesn't paralyze me. It doesn't send me into rage or isolation. I get mad.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do get angry, but it doesn't influence me to regard the present or the future in the same way. So, I thought my life should be tragic, like it should be a Greek tragedy. And I don't feel that way any longer. I don't know what it's going to be, but it's really helped me remember my mother too, in a really wonderful way. My relationship with my sister and my dear friends, and my father, really.
Okay.
I don't have the same kind of anger. I don't think at least today, I'm not angry. I don't. And if I do get angry, I let it pass. But I don't try to define him through whatever feeling I have at the moment.
And do bouts of anger come up out of the blue, or is it a particular, maybe an event or something happens? How does the anger show up now?
It's not as random as it used to be. I do just, take a 10 count often. And I don't try to create some operatic vision like this is how it always was and this is what it'll always be.
Right.
For my father, I'm too old to blame him for things,
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know if I've forgiven him. And I don't know if I remember him well, but I don't remember him ill. And I know when I pick up a book, it might be because of him. I know he helped shape the way my mind works, for better or for worse. And I say this honestly. I don't say this glibly or in some kind of pop psychological way. I think he tried. I really think he tried. But he didn't have anyone.
Right.
He was alone. And he wasn't the father his father was. His father was abusive and abandoned him physically. And I think my dad did his best. I really do.
Right.
Whether it was enough or not.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice. Now, one thing which I was looking for, but I know that you talked about your relationship with Michael, your wife, but you didn't dedicate a specific chapter to your relationship, but it was clear it's such a very strong bond and what she endured, or somewhat you touched upon it. Was that by design?
More and more, because when I started, we were married. Now we're not. So we got divorced during the writing of the book. And so I try to pull more. She's an adult with a private life, and I try to
keep it private.
Respect her, honor her, and really think about her experience.
Now, was it before the book had come out that your divorce came, or was it after?
Yes,
it was before.
Yeah.
And so did it help explain things once I don't know if she read it. I don't know. You don't have to tell me,
I
but
think she read the galley. I
Mhm.
think she was upset by some of it. I think she said the writing is beautiful. I think having her life out there, I think it would have been different if we were still together.
Mhm.
I think she's worried, as always, about her kids, um, and what they know. You know, what should be private, what should be public.
Mhm.
But yeah, I try to take as much as I could out, and also changing the tense, right?
Right.
Um, Having another kid during the writing of the book. Just how to make it more about me and how I saw things with my two sons and my father and my
Mhm.
brother. So a lot of trimming.
Right. Right.
Less about our relationship. A lot of that was cut.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think it makes
And it's understandable. And it's understandable. I mean, now thank you for sharing that and giving and bringing that to light. So it really now. I mean, it made sense, but that was one of the things I found interesting because you went in such detail with your sons, and I can understand because it was a, I guess, a linear path from your dad to you to your boys and some of in the feelings that went along with it.
yeah.
Um, so for those who may read it, and read the book, hopefully more people will read it because I think it could really help people understand that one, they're not alone. I mean, I think there's probably a lot of people. I mean, the way you wrote is like you were out there by yourself.
Yeah.
And not just for a short period of time either. It was for throughout, I guess, your childhood to young adulthood, and just to feel that pain, or just to read the pain, like that was very, very moving. And it did, I think at times it did take it a while for it to sink in, because I didn't have those same experiences. Some, yes, but especially going to a predominantly white school. I mean, those things were resonated
Yeah.
very deeply. But for those who do read the book, what would you say you really wanted them to take away as they read it?
Well, thanks for bringing up being alone. And it's something I left out. I think what writing or finishing this book showed me was really, honestly, for me, that I'm not alone. Like, I can say that to other people, but I didn't. Until I think it was the last year, really, it being out in the world, and maybe the last 8 months, that I'm not alone. And it's one thing to write something, and it's another thing to live it. And I know in the writing of it, and before it came out, and before I started talking with people in the world, I had fashioned myself, again, like some kind of martyr. Like, I don't need these things, other people do, or even a bleeding deacon, right? But having people respond and being interviewed and having close people or friends I haven't been in contact with reach out. So I guess you're not alone. It might feel like it. If it's a cautionary tale, be careful about creating a narrative around the belief that you are alone, because you might really find yourself out in the wind alone. Whatever it is, just get help, right?
Get help, yeah, get help.
Get help. Just stay here, right? And don't try to extrapolate a life based on a moment or an hour or even a day. I think there's beauty in this world. I guess I tried to make something beautiful, really. Um, I there's this. I'm writing about this now. I'm writing a book about my mom. Uh, the song "I Wish It Would Rain" by the Temptations.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I was driving and I was alone. It was COVID, and I was missing my mom. She recently passed, and for some reason, I didn't have much gas, but I wouldn't allow myself to get gas. I had to go to the bathroom, but I wouldn't allow myself to go to the bathroom.
Wow. Okay.
And I wouldn't allow myself to get food, and I wouldn't allow myself to listen to music. I just had to drive in silence and kind of physical discomfort and anxiety. And eventually, the way I got out of that was I yelled at myself in my head, just abused myself, and pulled over and got the gas, got like a Snickers bar and some water, and got on the highway and put on a playlist. And that song came on, and he hits this note, this falsetto, just so easily. And I've been writing on Rilke and Dark Bird Calls. And he's not asking us to suffer with him. He's singing that so we don't have to. Right?
Right.
And that's what the blues are, right? It's the well of sorrow, not the well of despair. So he made something out of it. And I know how Ruffin's life ended up.
Yeah.
So not only hearing that note, holding on to the note, and Baldwin writes this in Sonny's Blues, just what opened up and seeing my mother. And then all of a sudden the Supremes were in the car, and the Staple Singers were in the car, and my grandmother was in the car, and we're eating ham, and it's a good time, and the radio's on, and the Ohio players are on.
Oh yeah. Oh wow. Okay.
And it's all there.
All there. Yeah.
There. And they're like, baby, don't stand over here. Come and get something to eat. Right. And then you get your funny face, your Kool-Aid. And it was okay. And just knowing that I can feel good and loved even in these dire moments, right? I hope if somebody reads it, it's not about self-searching or identifying. It's just can you, like Marley asked, right? Could you be loved? Right?
Yeah.
So
and I was gonna say, and your mom was probably there in that moment.
I'm sorry?
I said your mom was probably there in that moment.
Oh, she's here all the time.
Yeah. To provide that perfect list. So it's interesting because I find like I of course know you through the book, and I'm sure you probably get that all the time, but in this question that I always ask, you don't really get to know, I don't get to know the person that personally. So when I ask a question, it allows me to get their feelings where they are in the moment. So the question's always, which is a surprise, is always like, how are you feeling as a Black man right now?
Right now? It's a mix, angry, proud, loved, capable of loving, rich, dignified, ashamed. Not of being Black, but of being Black and not helping other people, protecting other people, constantly be a part of of social justice reform. Like I don't know if you can see this photograph back here. Like this is my mom.
Okay.
This is Mountain High in 1951.
I think I did see that. Okay.
Yeah. So that's like I feel I should be living there all the time. But understanding my privilege, which is, I guess, is a strange thing for a Black man to say, but I have immense privilege. I have tenure. I have a wonderful publisher. I have great friends. I have my health. I, again, survive with something intact. and I don't want anything from this country. Like that's the freedom. Like you've welched on everything, like every promise you've made to me, to my people, to all people, of fairness, of justice, of kindness, of equal protection under the law, right? Of the guarantees of the Constitution, of what the pursuit of happiness is. You haven't come through. For me, I don't need anything from this country. And so that makes me peaceful and free and dangerous. And I don't mean I'm going to go like shoot up the town. I mean, you can dox me, you can do whatever it is, but you can't take this from me.
Right.
I don't need you.
Awesome.
So for Trump, for his cronies, for the political machines, for corporate greed, for illegal wars, for taking the driver's license from people because of how you identify through gender, through whatever it is, for whatever bullying or cruelty or murder there is going on in this country and in the world. I'm not afraid. And that's a privilege. And I can't assume that someone else isn't afraid, or that they damn well should be afraid. So my students are unprotected. I'm a heteronormative, cisgendered, large Black man with tenure, and a wonderful publisher, and a check that comes all the time. So I feel blessed.
Well, that's great. Thank you for that. And I really appreciate this interview. This was great.
May I ask you that question then, Keith?
Ask me. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, how do I feel? Wow. I feel I'm getting there. There's a journey. I'm learning to be more accepting of things that happen. It's not a I'm accepting more of who I am. One that gets joy out of things like interviewing you and hearing stories, and not for necessarily for monetary gain. It's just a way to learn and know there's a big world out there of people doing great things that need to be told. For a while thought that things would become easier than they have. I think just by virtue of either where I grew up or where I lived, there was some challenges being just from a predominantly white area, but not enough where I didn't feel safe. And I think over time, those things have kind of whittled away some. And I think by virtue of just the state of our world, and it's kind of, even though we have so many opportunities, it seemed more closed in. But I'm learning to embrace things a little lighter. I mean, like you, I have kids, 3 kids. You have 4, but I had at the time you had 8 years ago. You had 3. So, you come up with this fear and worry that your actions or what you do as parents, or how you will have a traumatic effect on how they turn out. But seeing how they have turned out their young adults, that they, there's a higher power that watches over them.
Yeah.
And that's given me a lot of comfort, because I've seen what they've done and how well they've done, and it doesn't necessarily mean monetarily, but just who they are as people, and that's all you can really.
Sorry.
27, 22, will be 23 and 19.
Mm-hmm.
And so what gives me grace and peace is that they're just great people.
Yeah.
They're great people.
Yeah. Yeah, they're
great people. Yeah.
I guess I left out a couple of things. One is sober. I feel sober. And you touched on, I feel lighter than I ever have in years.
I can tell that too.
I don't mean whimsical. I mean, I'm okay with not knowing things. I feel comfortable in front of a class saying, I don't know. Because I think I know the difference between right and wrong, and I'm willing to admit it. It's like, I know that's wrong. I know that's right. Which one am I going to do?
Right.
Like Jim Brown asking Richard Pryor when he came to see him when Richard was at the end of his days smoking. And Brown says, "What you going to do, Rich?" What you going to do?
Right.
You don't scare me, Jim. Okay, but what you going to do? So I ask myself that all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, there's this, there's that, there's this. You have this feeling. What you going to do? You're at the checkout line. That person cuts you. You're in a bad mood. You're bigger than him. What you going to do? Right?
Yeah.
Are you going to get, your kicks by like intimidating them? Like, that's not right.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, Michael, thank you. It's been a pleasure. I look forward to more work. I know Man Gone Down was another book. Was the novel that you wrote.
Yeah.
I definitely have to read that. But I really appreciate you being on today.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right.
Black Men Speak was written, produced, and edited by me, Keith Dent. You can find previous episodes wherever you get your favorite podcasts. If this is your first time discovering the show, or you're a Black Men Speak podcast fan, make sure you like and subscribe. We always like to end the show with a quote, and this one comes from an excerpt from his book, The Broken King. I write this to remind myself. I remind myself because I am a hard man. I am a hard man because at some point in my life, I chose to be. I can be intolerant, quick to anger, unforgiving, and therefore seemingly irredeemable. I fear my hardness. I am past 50, and my musculature, like my mind, is losing its flexibility. It's more prone to fatigue and injury when exercised and slow to recover from exertion. I am hard because I sometimes believe I have seen too much, felt too much, and I've made the choice not to feel anymore. My legacy is a broken man, each of whom at one time had to transform their own legacy, and in doing so, transform themselves and the inheritance of those to come. Each man failed. This is Keith Dent from the Black Men Speak podcast. Peace.